Good afternoon all. I hope you enjoyed the lunch and also hope not to be very sleepy after a great lunch. So from now we will start the afternoon session of the 2021 모의IMO Assembly. The first presentation is Ammonution, and they will talk about project proposal regarding the environmental aspects and safety of ammonia-fueled ships based on ship design. Please welcome Team Ammonution.
Hello, we are Team Ammonution. Ammonia, as an efficient ship fuel,
although it can be dangerous like ammunition,
new safety regulations can overcome the dangers.
From the helpful presentation tips and feedback we received at the workshop,
we were able to enhance our proposal's reliability and validity.
We look forward to confidently sharing our solutions. Thank you.
Distinguished judges, fellow delegations, most esteemed guests, and ladies and gentlemen. As Team Ammonution, today we will present our project proposal regarding the environmental aspects and safety of ammonia-fueled ships. My fantastic teammates will first explain the environmental aspects of ammonia-fueled ships, and then we will look upon possible safety hazards and safety regulations, and arrange to address these safety hazards. Finally, I will return to present our project proposal regarding the points that have not been covered in past regulations. I now hand over the floor to the next delegation, who will explain the environmental aspects.
To begin with the environmental background, discussions on air pollution prevention have started since the late 1980s. Through the sequence of the 1991 IMO General Assembly, 1992 UNFCCC, and the first IMO greenhouse gas emission analysis study from 1999 to 2000. Here, the UNFCCC delegated the shipping sector's GHG reduction task to IMO. The 2005 MARPOL Annex became the pedestal of further amendments and studies on carbon zero vessels. The power-to-gas system is one of the zero-carbon technologies. P2G converts surplus power produced by renewable energy into hydrogen energy and stores it to stabilize the power supply. However, the problem with the current conversion to hydrogen fuel is that the storage capacity per volume of hydrogen is small, making it difficult to economically store large amounts and transport long distances. To overcome this problem, researchers have tried to develop a hydrogen energy carrier with greater storage capacity and reduce economic costs by converting hydrogen into a different compound. Among the different compounds, ammonia has many advantages. First, ammonia can be used for storage and transportation of hydrogen, and at the same time become a source of hydrogen in itself, so it can be used directly for fuel cells. Second, ammonia's development costs are cheaper than other carbon-neutral fuels. The existing land LPG infrastructure and the transportation technology can be used for ammonia fuel ships as well, so it can be fastly put into place. Green ammonia uses renewable energy to electrolyze water to produce hydrogen, and is electrically synthesized using nitrogen separated from the air. This can replace the existing Haber-Bosch process, as the cost of the green ammonia fuel is anticipated to decrease following the increased demand. Ammonia ready means having the hull structure, fuel tank specifications, and risk assessment of LNG and diesel fuel ships ready for conversion into ammonia fuel ships. Currently, Korea plans to develop LNG and ammonia mixed fuels from 2021 to 25, and standardize bunkering technology from 2027 to 31. Large domestic shipyards have obtained certification from global engine manufacturers. Our ultimate goal is to make ships ammonia ready through rigorous safety regulations. Now, I'll pass on to the next delegation for further explanation of safety hazards and regulations.
Thank you, Delegate. Pre-knowledge on safety hazards of ammonia is necessary for relevant safety regulations. To begin, ammonia is anhydrous and hygroscopic in pure form, and as a gas, rapidly absorbs moisture from air. Ammonia is a toxic gas that is colorless and has a notably sharp, penetrating odor, forming a dense white cloud upon air exposure. Its properties go as follows. Posing the biggest threat, it is toxic, capable of irritating eyes and the respiratory system in lethal levels. Also, anhydrous vapor is flammable but difficult to ignite. Possibly. Next, it easily dissolves in water and is corrosive to metals. Thus, safe materials must be utilized. In order to be ammonia ready and thus ensure safety according to its safety hazards, certain IMO safety regulations are in place. Currently, the three core grounding principles of international safety regulations are the SOLAS, IGF, and the IGC code. Notably, the SOLAS allows the use of low flashpoint fuels, such as ammonia, for ships complying with the IGF code. Within the IGF, although the ship's functional requirements are mentioned for all fuel types, including ammonia, specific design requirements are mentioned only for LNG fuel. Thus, before regulations for ammonia fuel are placed, approval of its use as an alternative fuel will be based on whether the ship design complies with functional requirements of the IGF. Additionally, the IGC code mentions the use of cargo as fuel, but it does not permit the use of cargo of toxic products, such as ammonia. Therefore, due to the fact that ammonia fuel is applicable only under the IGF, implementing proper amendments for new design regulations must be prioritized.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to the solutions or the amendments that we came up with based on the safety regulations taken in place. To begin with, we explained that specific design requirements for LNG fuel has been covered in the IGF code. Thus, we decided to take into consideration the previous regulations of the IGF code for LNG fuel, such as access to the TCS through a bolted hatch, a drip tray system as the sole method of leakage isolation. We also found out that PPE, personal protective equipment, is mandatory only in certain regions, and equipping first aid treatment was not mentioned in the IGF code. To evaluate the safety requirements, we came up with, in large, two main principles. First, segregation, and second, the automatic isolation of leakages. For this project proposal, we took into consideration the diagram of this vessel design. The TCS mentioned earlier refers to the tank connection space next to the ammonia fuel tank. Based on vessel design, we came up with a project proposal to address the additional hazards present with ammonia. First, based on IGF code 5.11. This code mentions the tank connection space to be arranged as a bolted hatch, and the space containing the bolted hatch is a hazardous space. Previously, ships that use LNG fuel gained access to the TCS through a bolted hatch. This is because it is essential to maintain the gas tightness of boundaries, such as the tank connection space. However, ammonia fuel ships have the difficulty in restoring gas tightness. Compared to the ship design under the IGF code, people at sea nowadays have more access to the TCS than initially assumed. Furthermore, in the process of carrying and supplying ammonia into the vessel, gas tightness cannot be restored. Thus, using an airlock access would seal the TCS without danger of exposure to ammonia and make it easier to evacuate and retrieve injured people in cases of emergencies. Therefore, we propose to modify 5.11.3 to arrange an airlock access instead of a bolted hatch, especially for ammonia-fueled ships.
Moving on, based on IGF code 5.10, drip trays are equipped with a drain valve to drain water over the ship's side in case of any leakages. However, this draining system cannot block any gas leakage or exposure, especially that of ammonia. To block the dispersion of ammonia leakage in open deck spaces, contact with water is essential due to the hygroscopic nature of ammonia. Ammonia-captured water may then be collected by a drip tray below the bunkering manifold to collect any leakage. Following this logic, water curtains can be installed above the bunkering manifold and even on deck to reduce toxic vapor and prevent spread of fire. Thus, we propose to add 5.11.6 to include a water curtain system for entrances and other openings in enclosed spaces to enable the isolation of any leakages and reduce the concentration of any toxic gases.
To minimize the risks and consequences of exposure to ammonia, we came up with two essential elements: PPE, personal protective equipment, and first aid treatment. First, we thought that workers within the ship should mandatorily be equipped with PPE, which can shield them from harm. In addition, rapid first aid treatment should be available to all workers, including decontamination showers. We thought that the following locations should be provided with PPE and first aid treatment, not only for those involved in bunkering operations at the bunker station, but also the entrances and exits of TCS, FPR, and the engine room. Also, according to the IGF code, safety regulations do not include the mandatory equipment of PPE and their first aid treatment. Thus, we propose to add 15.3.4 to designate the allocation of PPE and 15.3.5 to equip first aid treatment in convenient locations, including emergency decontamination showers.
As a final note, we also agreed that it is necessary to add the review and testing of PPE and first aid treatment to ensure response and safety systems for hazards and accident control are working properly. Thus, we propose that under paragraph 17 of the IGF code, which enforces drills and emergency exercises to be conducted at regular levels, regular reviews on the supply and functioning of PPE and first aid treatment should be added. In conclusion, today we have presented the amendments for the IGF code, which include, instead of arranging a bolted hatch, to have an airlock access to the tank connection space. Second, to have water curtain systems that can prevent any leakages from damaging the ship. Third, PPE and first aid treatment to be equipped in the locations mentioned earlier so that it can ensure the safety of workers at sea. Finally, about the drills and emergency exercises for PPE and first aid treatment, to add these measures so that the measures of the PPE and first aid treatment can be working properly. In conclusion, today we have presented our proposal to ensure the safety of ammonia-fueled ships. As past R&D projects, such as forecasting the alternative marine fuel ammonia, submitted by the Republic of Korea, we believe that the Republic of Korea can lead the future discussion of ammonia-fueled ships and updating the IMO GHG studies in relevant fields. We hope that our proposal contributes to working in correspondence with the 2022 to 2023 biannual agenda of the CCC subcommittee by advances in safe practices for the design and operation of ammonia-fueled vessels. We hope that using this technology, we can further look on not only using ammonia-fueled ships, but also utilizing ammonia cracking to further move on to other zero-carbon fueled ships as well. Based on vessel design, today we have presented our proposal, ensuring the safety and in consideration of the environmental aspects of ammonia-fueled ships as well. Thank you for listening to our speech, and we hope that this proposal contributes to the CCC and the IMO General Assembly as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done, Team Ammonution. So we will have a Q&A session as usual. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. Yeah. Team Massive.
Yes. So a couple of things came up, but mainly the team mentions that for emergencies in case of leakages, the plan to solve this is through water curtains that can dissolve the water and that can be later disposed. But in the same presentation, you also mentioned that when ammonia is dissolved into water, it creates an acid called ammonium hydroxide, which is also toxic. So the question is, if you use the water curtains that dissolves the ammonia to create ammonium hydroxide that can be later disposed, wouldn't the disposal of this acid also be an environmental hazard? What are the plans to address this?
Thank you for your excellent question, Delegate. We would like to answer your question by mentioning the drip trays that we have aforementioned inside our presentation right after the part we explained about water curtains. So how the drip tray works is once the water curtains collect all the ammonia that has dispersed into the air, that is again collected by the drip tray, and that will later be processed in a more safe and environmentally friendly way through other opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from Judge? Yeah,
As a shipping line, we should consider the economical benefit by using ammonia as a fuel. As you know, ammonia-fueled ships' bunker tank is around 1.5 times bigger than normal fueled ship, which means the cargo carrying capacity reduced the same amount. So otherwise, same bunker tanker, keep the same bunker tanker is the cruising distance sharply dropped. As a shipping line is very important point. We try to much more cargo on the same size vessel, which create more benefit, more profit. So with these hurdles, how do you expect the ammonia-fueled ships' future?
Thank you for your considerate question. Although there are could be some concerns regarding efficiency, we still view the future of ammonia-fueled vessels to be very rosy because there have been many investments and trends among especially developing countries which care a lot about carbon zero or net zero economy, on the move of using more and more ammonia and developing ammonia plants. For example, one of the representative case of investment would be that of Saudi Arabia project, which has been invested about $5 billion from different stakeholders, including US companies or local farms. And also there have been many developments of ammonia plants in countries like Netherlands or New Zealand or Chile. So Although there are some drawbacks regarding the efficiency, we still view that more investment and development and would eventually enhance the efficiency in such ways. Thank you.
To add a short point, so we believe that ammonia fuel ships can contribute to the consistent goal that the UN and various international committees have mentioned about achieving net zero. And as our team believes that by LNG or other sources of fuel which contain carbon and cannot lead on to zero carbon fuel, ammonia has the best prospect, and that's the reason why we chose this topic to present our proposal. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Triple Silva.
Thank you for inside presentations. Team Ammonution use bolted hatch to maintain gas tightness, but we know that ammonia is sensitive to temperature. Is that bolted hatch is enough to prevent volume changes above temperature? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. We believe that a bolted hatch was used previously under the IGF code for most basically LNG fueled ships. However, we also share the concern that ammonia cannot be contained by a bolted hatch. Therefore, that was the reason why we suggested to change it to an airlock access so that ammonia can be contained and it cannot be exposed to any seafarers on sea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And I think the airlock access is allowed for the compartment, not for the tank. As long as I know, I think airlock access is not applicable to the tank itself. Would you please explain me?
Thank you for your concern. For more information, so we are not suggesting to put an airlock access to the tank. It is to the tank connection space. So it would be like a docking station if it's for like spaceships. So rather than the tank itself, it is the connecting space. So while the tank is preserved as it is, we thought that the bolted hatch makes it difficult for people to approach the tank connection space while it is connected to other rooms as well. So using an airlock access would be more convenient and it would lessen the exposure of ammonia as well. Thank you.
You explained me the LNG carriers used bolted hatch. In my experience, I have never seen bolted hatch for the tank connection space.
So based on the IGF code in the past, it was regulated as a bolted hatch, but our team concerned that there's a current trend to replace this bolted hatch, and we also thought that it is applicable to ammonia fueled ships as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next question from Lighthouse.
Thank you for your great presentation. I have several questions about your presentation. I'm curious about the production of ammonia because in 2018, International Transport Forum said that production of ammonia are still over 90%. They depend on using like fossil fuel. So it is not. Someone says that it is not very environmental friendly. So what do you think about this section? And also,
let's answer for one question first. Yep. Yeah. So do you think the ammonia is environmental friendly fuel?
Thank you for your question. I will pass on the mic to my fellow delegate who will explain green ammonia further.
Yeah. So I believe the process that you are referring to is Haber-Bosch process, which was made in like 1990s, and which are very much in consensus to the fact that that is very non-environmentally friendly, because it is based on, it uses natural gases which are not environmentally friendly in order to add nitrogen and hydrogen to make NH3. However, the suggestion that we're making here is utilizing green ammonia technology, which instead utilizes environmentally friendly sources of energy and uses the already present nitrogen from the air. For example, for reference, there has been a case in New Zealand and Chile where they have already used wind farm and wind energy to power the ammonia plants. So we hope that would help your understanding. Thank you.
Yeah, time is up. So yeah, we have to go to the next team. So thank you very much, Ammonium. Please return to your seat.